The spies. The Lord said to Moses, "Choose one of the leaders from each of the 12 tribes and send them as spies to explore the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites." Moses obeyed, and from the wilderness of Paran he sent out leaders as follows: Reuben, Shammua son of Zakur; Simeon, Shaphat son of Hori; Judah, Caleb son of Jephunneh; Issachar, Igal son of Joseph; Ephraim, Hoshea son of Nun; Benjamin, Palti son of Raphu; Zebulun, Gadiel son of Zodi; Manasseh, Gadi son of Susi; Dan, Amiel son of Gemali; Asher, Satur son of Michael; Naphtali, Nabi son of Wushi; Gad, Geuel son of Maki. These are the spies Moses sent to explore the land. He changed the name of Hoshea son of Nun to Joshua. When Moses sent them out, he said to them, "Go north from here into the southern part of the land of Canaan, and then on into the hill country. Find out what kind of country it is, how many people live there, and how strong they are. Find out whether the land is good or bad, and whether the people live in open towns or in fortified cities. Find out whether the soil is fertile and whether the land is wooded, and be sure to bring back some of the fruit that grows there." It was the season when grapes were beginning to ripen, so the men went north and explored the land from the wilderness of Zin in the south all the way to Rehob, near the Hamath Pass in the north. They went first into the southern part of the land and came to Hebron, where the clans of the Ahiman, Shishai, and Talmai, the descendants of a race of giants called the Anakim, lived. Hebron was founded 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. They came to the valley of Eshcol, and there they cut off a branch which had one bunch of grapes on it, so heavy that it took 2 men to carry it on a pole between them. They also brought back some pomegranates and figs. That place was named the Valley of Eshcol because of the bunch of grapes the Israelites cut off there. After exploring the land for 40 days, the spies returned to Moses, Aaron, and the whole community of Israel at Kadesh in the wilderness of Paran. They reported what they had seen and showed them the fruit they had bought. They said to Moses, "We explored the land and found it to be rich and fertile, and here is some of its fruit. But the people who live there are powerful, and their cities are very large and well fortified. Even worse, we saw the descendants of the giants there. Amalekites live in the southern part of the land. Hittites, Jebusites, and Amorites live in the hill country. And the Canaanites live by the Mediterranean Sea and along the river Jordan." Caleb silenced the people who were complaining against Moses and said, "We should attack now and take the land. We are strong enough to conquer it." But the men who had gone with Caleb said, "No, we are not strong enough to attack them. The people there are more powerful than we are." So they spread a false report among the Israelites about the land they had explored. They said, The land doesn't even produce enough to feed the people who live there. Everyone we saw were very tall, and we even saw giants there, the descendants of Anak. We felt as small as grasshoppers, and that is how we must have looked to them. The people complained. All night long the people cried out in distress. They complained against Moses and Aaron and said, "It would have been better to die in Egypt or even here in the wilderness. Why is the Lord taking us into the land? We will be killed in battle, and our wives and children will be captured. Wouldn't it be better to go back to Egypt?" So they said to one another, "Let's choose a leader to go back to Egypt." Then Moses and Aaron bowed to the ground in front of all the people, and Joshua son of Nun and Caleb son of Jephunneh, two of the spies, tore their clothes in sorrow and said to the people, "The land we explored is an excellent land. If the Lord is pleased with us, He will take us there and give us that rich and fertile land. Do not rebel against the Lord, and don't be afraid of the people who live there. We will conquer them easily. The Lord is with us and has defeated the gods who protected them, so don't be afraid." The whole community was threatening to stone them to death. But suddenly the people saw the dazzling light of the Lord's presence appear over the tent. Moses prays for the people. The Lord said to Moses, "How much longer will these people reject me? How much longer will they refuse to trust in me? Even though I have performed so many miracles among them, I will send an epidemic and destroy them, but I will make you the father of a nation that is larger and more powerful than they are." But Moses said to the Lord, "You brought these people out of Egypt by your power. When the Egyptians hear what you have done to your people, they will tell it to the people who live in this land. These people have already heard that you, Lord, are with us, that you are plainly seen when your cloud stops over us, and that you go before us in a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. Now if you kill all your people, the nations who have heard of your fame will say that you killed your people in the wilderness because you were not able to bring them into the land you promised to give them. So now, Lord, I pray, show us your power and do what you promised when you said, 'I, the Lord, am not easily angered, and I show great love and faithfulness and forgive sin and rebellion. Yet I will not fail to punish children and grandchildren to the third and fourth generation for the sins of their parents. And now, Lord, according to the greatness of your unchanging love, forgive, I pray, the sin of these people, just as you have forgiven them ever since they left Egypt." The Lord answered, "I will forgive them as you have asked, but I promise that as surely as I live, and as surely as my presence fills the earth, none of these people will live to enter that land. They have seen the dazzling light of my presence and the miracles that I performed in Egypt and in the wilderness, but they have tried my patience over and over again and have refused to obey me. They will never enter the land which I promised to their ancestors. None of those who have rejected me will ever enter it. But because my servant Caleb has a different attitude and has remained loyal to me, I will bring him into the land which he explored, and his descendants will possess the land in whose valleys the Amalekites and the Canaanites now live. Turn back tomorrow and go into the wilderness in the direction of the Gulf of Aqaba. The Lord punishes the people for complaining. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "How much longer are these wicked people going to complain against me? I have heard enough of these complaints. Now give them this answer. I swear that as surely as I live, I will do you just what you have asked. I, the Lord, have spoken. You will die, and your corpses will be scattered across this wilderness, because you have complained against me. None of you over 20 years of age will enter that land. I promise to let you live there, but not one of you will, except Caleb and Joshua. You said that your children would be captured, but I will bring them into the land that you rejected, and it will be their home. You will die here in this wilderness. Your children will wander in the wilderness for 40 years, suffering for your unfaithfulness, until the last one of you dies. You will suffer the consequences of your sin for 40 years, 1 year for each of the 40 days you spent exploring the land. You will know what it means to have me against you. I swear that I will do this to you wicked people who have gathered together against me. Here in the wilderness, every one of you will die. I, the Lord, have spoken." The men Moses had sent to explore the land brought back a false report, which caused the people to complain against the Lord. And so the Lord struck them with a disease, and they died. Of the 12 spies, only Joshua and Caleb survived. The first attempt to invade the land. When Moses told the Israelites what the Lord had said, they mourned bitterly. Early the next morning, they started out to invade the hill country, saying, "Now we are ready to go to the place which the Lord told us about. We admit that we have sinned." But Moses said, "Then why are you disobeying the Lord now? You will not succeed. Don't go. The Lord is not with you, and your enemies will defeat you. When you face the Amalekites and the Canaanites, you will die in battle. The Lord will not be with you, because you have refused to follow him." Yet they still dared to go up into the hill country, even though neither the Lord's covenant box nor Moses left the camp. Then the Amalekites and the Canaanites who lived there attacked and defeated them, and pursued them as far as Hormah. Laws about sacrifice. The Lord gave Moses the following regulations for the people of Israel to observe in the land, and he was going to give them. A bull, a ram, a sheep, or a goat may be presented to the Lord as a burnt offering, or as a sacrifice in fulfillment of a vow, or as a free will offering, or as an offering at your regular religious festivals. The smell of these food offerings is pleasing to the Lord. Whoever presents a sheep or a goat as a burnt offering to the Lord is to bring with each animal a kilogram of flour mixed with a liter of olive oil, as a grain offering together with a liter of wine. When a ram is offered, 2 kilograms of flour mixed with 1.5 liters of olive oil are to be presented as a grain offering, together with 1.5 liters of wine. The smell of these sacrifices is pleasing to the Lord. When a bull is offered to the Lord as a burnt offering, or as a sacrifice in fulfillment of a vow, or as a fellowship offering, a grain offering of 3 kilograms of flour mixed with 2 liters of olive oil is to be presented together with 2 liters of wine. The smell of this sacrifice is pleasing to the Lord. That is what shall be offered when each bull, ram, sheep, or goat. When more than one animal is offered, the accompanying offering is to be increased proportionately. Every native Israelite is to do this when he presents a food offering, a smell pleasing to the Lord. And if at any time a foreigner living among you, whether on a temporary or a permanent basis, makes a food offering, a smell that pleases the Lord, he is to observe the same regulations for all time to come. The same rules are binding on you and on the foreigners who live among you. You and they are alike in the Lord's sight. The same laws and regulations apply to you and to them. The Lord gave Moses the following regulations for the people of Israel to observe in the land that he was going to give them. When any food produced there is eaten, some of it is to be set aside as a special contribution to the Lord. When you bake bread, the first loaf of the first bread made from a new corn is to be presented as a special contribution to the Lord. This is to be presented in the same way as a special contribution and you make from the corn you thresh for all time to come. This special gift is to be given to the Lord from the bread you bake. But suppose someone unintentionally fails to keep some of these regulations which the Lord has given Moses, and suppose that in the future the community fails to do everything that the Lord commanded through Moses, if the mistake was made because of the ignorance of the community, they are to offer a bull as a burnt offering, a smell that pleases the Lord, with the proper grain offering and wine offering. In addition, they are to offer a male goat as a sin offering. The priest shall perform the ritual of purification for the community, and they will be forgiven because the mistake was unintentional, and they brought their sin offering as a food offering to the Lord. The whole community of Israel and the foreigners living among them will be forgiven because everyone was involved in the mistake. If an individual sins unintentionally, he is to offer a 1-year-old female goat as a sin offering. At the altar, the priest shall perform the ritual of purification to purify the man from his sin, and he will be forgiven. The same regulation applies to everyone who unintentionally commits a sin, whether he is a native Israelite or a resident foreigner. But any person who sins deliberately, whether he is a native or a foreigner, is guilty of treating the Lord with contempt, and he shall be put to death because he has rejected what the Lord said and has deliberately broken one of his commands. He is responsible for his own death. The man who broke the Sabbath. Once, while the Israelites were still in the wilderness, a man was found gathering firewood on the Sabbath. He was taken to Moses, Aaron, and the whole community and was put under guard because it was not clear what should be done with him. Then the Lord said to Moses, "The man must be put to death. The whole community is to stone him to death outside the camp." So the whole community took him outside the camp and stoned him to death as the Lord had commanded. Rules news about tassels. The Lord commanded Moses to say to the people of Israel, "Make tassels on the corners of your garments and put a blue cord on each tassel. You are to do this for all time to come. The tassels will serve as reminders, and each time you see them, you will remember all my commands and obey them. Then you will not turn away from me and follow your own wishes and desires. The tassels will remind you to keep all my commands, and you will belong completely to me. I am the Lord your God. I brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord." The rebellion of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Korah, son of Izhar, from Levite clan of Kohath, rebelled against the leadership of Moses. He was joined by 3 members of the tribe of Reuben, Dathan, and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, son of Peleth, and by 250 other Israelites, well-known leaders chosen by the community. They assembled before Moses and Aaron and said to them, "You have gone too far. All the members of the community belong to the Lord, and the Lord is with all of us. Why then, Moses, do you set yourself above the Lord's community?" When Moses heard this, he threw himself on the ground and prayed. Then he said to Korah and his followers, "Tomorrow morning the Lord will show us who belongs to him. He will let one who belongs to him, that is, the one he has chosen, approach him at the altar. Tomorrow morning, you and your followers take fire pans, put live coals and incense on them, and take them to the altar. Then we will see which of us the Lord has chosen. You Levites are the ones who have gone too far." Moses continued to speak to Korah, "Listen, you Levites, do you consider it a small matter that the Lord God of Israel has set you apart from the rest of the community so that you can approach him, perform your service in the Lord's tent, and minister to the community and serve them? He has let you and all the other Levites have this honor, and now you are trying to get the priesthood too? When you complain against Aaron, it is really against the Lord that you and your followers are rebelling." Then Moses sent for Dathan and Abiram, but they said, "We will not come. Isn't it enough that you have brought us out of the fertile land of Egypt to kill us here in the wilderness? Do you also have to lord it over us? You certainly have not brought us into a fertile land or given us fields and vineyards as our possession, and now you are trying to deceive us. We will not come." Moses was angry and said to the Lord, "Do not accept any offerings these men bring. I have not wronged any of them. I have not even taken one of their donkeys." Moses said to Korah, "Tomorrow you and your 250 followers must come to the tent of the Lord's presence. Aaron will also be there. Each of you will take his fire pan, put incense on it, and then present it at the altar." So every man took his fire pan, put live coals and incense on it, and stood at the entrance of the tent with Moses and Aaron. Then Korah gathered the whole community, and they stood facing Moses and Aaron at the entrance of the tent. Suddenly, dazzling light of the Lord's presence appeared to the whole community. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Stand back from these people, and I will destroy them immediately." But Moses and Aaron bowed down with their faces to the ground and said, O God, you are the source of all life. When one man sins, do you get angry with the whole community? The Lord said to Moses, Tell the people to move away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Then Moses, accompanied by the leaders of Israel, went to Dathan and Abiram. He said to the people, Stand away from the tents of these wicked men, and don't touch anything that belongs to them. Otherwise you will be wiped out with them for all their sins. So they moved away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Dathan and Abiram had come out and were standing at the entrance of their tents with their wives and children. Moses said to them, to the people, This is how you will know that the Lord has sent me to do all these things, and that is not by my own choice that I have done them. If these men die a natural death without some punishment from God, then the Lord did not send me. But if the Lord does something unheard of, and the earth opens and swallows them with all they own, so that they go down alive in the world of the dead, you will know that these men have rejected the Lord. As soon as he had finished speaking, the ground under Dathan and Abiram split open and swallowed them and their families, together with all of Korah's followers and their possessions. So they went down alive to the world of the dead with their possessions. The earth closed over them and they vanished. All the people of Israel who were there fled when they heard their cry. They shouted, Run, the earth might swallow you too. Then the Lord sent a fire that blazed out and burnt up the 250 men who had presented the incense. The fire pans. Then the Lord said to Moses, Tell Eleazar son of Aaron, the priest, to remove the bronze fire pans from the remains of the men who have been burnt, and scatter the coals from the fire pans somewhere else, because the fire pans are holy. They became holy when they were presented at the Lord's altar. So take the fire pans of these men who were put to death for their sin, beat them into thin plates, and make a covering for the altar. It will be a warning to the people of Israel. So Eleazar the priest took the fire pans and had them beaten into thin plates to make a covering for the altar. This was a warning to the Israelites that no one who was not a descendant of Aaron should come to the altar to burn incense for the Lord. Otherwise he would be destroyed like Korah and his men. All this was done as the Lord had commanded Eleazar through Moses. Aaron saves the people. The next day the whole community complained against Moses and Aaron and said, You have killed some of the Lord's people. After they had all gathered to protest to Moses and Aaron, they turned towards the tent and saw that the cloud was covering it, and that the dazzling light of the Lord's presence had appeared. Moses and Aaron went and stood in front of the tent, and the Lord said to Moses, Stand back from these people, and I will destroy them on the spot. The two of them bowed with their faces to the ground, and Moses said to Aaron, Take your fire pan, put live coals from the altar in it, and put some incense on the coals. Then hurry with it to the people and perform the ritual of purification for them. Hurry! The Lord's anger has already broken out and an epidemic has already begun. Aaron obeyed, took his fire pan, and ran into the middle of the assembled people. When he saw that the plague had already begun, he put the incense on the coals and performed the ritual of purification for the people. This stopped the plague, and he was left standing between the living and the dead. The number of people who died was 14,700, not counting those who died in Korah's rebellion. When the plague had stopped, Aaron returned to Moses at the entrance of the tent. Aaron's stick. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell the people of Israel to give you 12 sticks, one from the leader of each tribe. Write each man's name on a stick, and then write Aaron's name on the stick, representing Levi. There will be one stick for each tribal leader. Take them to the tent of my presence and put them in front of the covenant box, where I meet you. Then the stick of the man I have chosen will sprout. In this way, I will put a stop to the constant complaining of these Israelites against you." So Moses spoke to the Israelites, and each of their leaders gave him a stick, one for each tribe, 12 in all, and Aaron's stick was put with them. Moses then put all the sticks in the tent in front of the Lord's covenant. The next day, when Moses went into the tent, he saw that Aaron's stick, representing the tribe of Levi, had sprouted. It had budded, blossomed, and produced ripe almonds. Moses took all the sticks and showed them to the Israelites. They saw what had happened, and each leader took his own stick back. The Lord said to Moses, "Put Aaron's stick back in front of the covenant box. It is to be kept as a warning to the rebellious Israelites that they will die unless their complaining stops." Moses did as the Lord commanded. The people of Israel said to Moses, "Then that's the end of us. If anyone who even comes near the tent must die, then we are all as good as dead."